We have now cared for Dad, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease since 2016. In this second episode, we explore briefly what it has been like for Dad, who uprooted his life of 40 years living in Canberra, to come and live with Grant and myself in the little port town of Cygnet, located 50 kilometres from Hobart in the Huon Valley. We meet Olita, who provided compassion and the warmest of welcomes, welcoming Dad into the fold of Cygnet, where she ran her bed and breakfast, the Secret Garden where he stayed.
My name's Olita Dierckx and I moved to Cygnet in 2008. One day I got a phone call from Rowena and asked if there was any room for a couple of days. Her dad was coming over. Rowena had been trying to get him to come over here for a long time instead of being on his own, and he was stubborn. No, he wasn't going anywhere, he was staying there. And we had a conversation the first night he was there, and he was asking about why did we come here. It's the people, it's the eye contact, it's feeling belonging. The next morning off he went for a walk, and when he came back he decided he was going to come to Cygnet to live in cellar. So Rowena got her wish. Yeah, the rest is history. I think he thoroughly enjoyed his choice to come here to Cygnet, and people, they were amazing around him as he got worse with his Alzheimer's, but never a smile off his face.
It was Olita and the magic of the Tasmanian landscape that helped make Dad fall in love with the area in which he wanted to stay for his twilight years. We also explore an important service run by Meals and Wheels. You'll meet Pat, who has voluntarily delivered meals to homes from a large chunk of her life.
My name's Pat Crane and I work with Cygnet Meals on Wheels. It's not just about a meal, it's about when you go in and you be there and you check on them, have a little talk to them. Perhaps you might have to get in touch with their relatives or something if you're a little bit concerned, and just know they're okay and that they're going to get a nice meal. Many a day Roger has walked down this road, walking away as fit as anything, but we always kept our eye on him, just to see where he was going and if he was going to be with anyone.
People within the community of Cygnet cared about Dad and would alert me to any issues they felt needed brought to my attention. George and his family at Farah's IGA was and still is a pillar of Cygnet community. His friendly, happy-go-lucky nature enthused Dad, and nothing ever was too much trouble for George in his assistance for Dad.
Hi, my name's George and I own the IGA Cygnet store with my family, Sayde and Michael Farah. And Roger's a nice chap, lovely fella. Over the years, he'll ask for things like, where's the jam? So we send him down aisle 4 and then we just go off and do our own thing. And then probably 10 minutes later we'll walk back down and we just notice aisle 4 and go, Roger, you right there, mate? He's like, yeah, I'm looking for the jam. I'm like, it's just there in front of you, Roger. Like right here, literally. He goes, oh, thanks. And then he would pick it up and just continue on, you know. And then that's when we started noticing something's going wrong with Roger, you know what I mean, dementia.
We could approach George to be a sort of guardian when Dad was still expressing his independence. When Dad had a mishap that could have landed him in hospital when he brought Drano instead of jam. George was only too happy to ask his staff to not allow Dad to buy any poisonous products from that day forth. He also opened an account that meant Dad did not have to handle money, as he was having difficulty identifying the notes. To keep Dad occupied and resist the desire to wander, Grant and I set about developing a sensory garden with all the plants we had grown ourselves plus many other brightly coloured plants. Dad's desire for colour was immense. It was a joy developing Dad's garden for him, as he truly seemed to blossom himself. But there was a downside too. The first few years were nothing short of hell, navigating Dad's determined attitude he didn't have an illness. He would blame others if things were going missing, yet it was his lack of memory recalling where he had left things. We tried as best we could to keep Dad independent as possible, but it came to a stage quite early on that Grant and I were staying over in a little bungalow to help Dad navigate life issues he was encountering. Dad would often comment that he lived in paradise gardens, but the paradise we created for him we knew would have to come to an end, as simple things like preparing his own meals was something he never did, even when he first arrived. His safety was always a concern, and the day did arrive where he had to take him away from his paradise to live with us. Dad was extremely aggressive about this, often leading to a standoff. Dad furiously telling us what he would do to us. At this stage I can understand when it is all just too difficult. An easy option of placing your cranky dementia loved one into a home for someone else to deal with could look like a favourable option. We were close to breaking point, but we knew that if we were in Dad's shoes, we would feel exactly the same way, fighting for every aspect of our freedom. I have gentled a Brumby from the Highlands of New South Wales. My mare's spirit was no different to Dad's. The harder the push against you, the more steadfast you become, keeping your own emotions in check and being the bigger person that doesn't buy into any tantrums, but instead just stands close by. A Brumby, like Dad, you would have to win their trust. Once that is achieved, the early years of dementia have a light at the end of the tunnel. For having trust as your foundation, you have that to fall back on when times are challenging. Trust gives you the courage to walk forward. Trust is love in disguise. Without trust, navigating dementia may be extremely difficult.